Hello, everybody. I have Dr. Ishita here with me. Welcome to my channel. We are going to talk about ECFMG certification. It's very confusing to students. When I was in med school, I was really confused. Why would I need a certificate after examination? Is it a different exam, or is it just a requirement that ECFMG has brought recently? So, Dr. Ishita is ECFMG certified candidate right now. And during the pandemic, there have been a lot of changes in how ECFMG certifies foreign medical graduates. So let's hear it from Dr. Ishita. Hi, doctor.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, what is this certificate, and do American graduates require them, or only foreign grads do?
Right. Okay. So that's a very relevant question, and I think that's very confusing to some people. ECFMG stands for Electronic Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates. So it's basically everything for foreign medical graduates. Um, it's a certification that would tell people in the US, relevant bodies, medical schools, program directors, interns, even medical students in the US, that this foreign graduate is at par with someone who's graduated from inside the US, from a US medical school. So that's what ECFMG does. It certifies graduates who have attended medical school outside the US to tell people in the US that they are at par with a USMD. That's what the certification is all about.
Oh, all right. Yep. So, tell me, doctor, how did you apply for ECFMG certification this year?
Right, thank you. So yes, I was one of those candidates who stepped to CS was cancelled because of the pandemic. But ECFMG did take out pathways for us. So ECFMG had 5 pathways through which you could check your eligibility on either of the pathway and apply through them. Instead of the CS, this year they required foreign graduates to take the OET exam, and the pass score on the OET was what they were looking for all of the pathways. And then each pathway had their separate requirements, and you could apply through them, you could pay a fee, ECFM, you could get all your documents, that is the requirements from the pathway, as well as the OET score reports, and obviously step 1 and step 2 CK. And that's it. And then they would generate your certification for this year only.
Okay. So, with this certificate, you can apply for US residency programs. Is that right?
Yes, only certifications that were issued this year. We could apply only for this season. They would expire in 2021.
Tell me uh, how to apply for the certification.
Okay, sure. So I remember previously when you took the CS, you didn't have to actively go and apply or actively go and send them documents or anything. Is that correct?
Yes, when I gave my step 2 CS exams and was completed with step 1 and step 2 CK, all I had to do is get my medical school transcript or diploma verified with the ECFMG. Once my school verified my credentials and status, the ECFMG would issue a certificate, and that was for free. But things right now has changed, and as you tell, there's a fee for that certification, and there's a different process.
Yes, right. So correct, that was there before, but now with the CS cancelled for this season, they had so we had to actively go and apply, actively go and pay the fee, actively have all our supporting documents sent to ECFMG. So they had on ECFMG website, they had a tab for the pathways. So everyone could go and check their eligibility for either of the pathways. There were 5 pathways, and whichever one you fall into, you could look at the requirements. I think most of the Indian graduates could apply through Pathway 1. So Pathway 1 required us to send a good standing certificate from our licensing body. So if you were licensed through MCI or through the Delhi Medical Council or any of the previous councils outside the US, we had to send them a good standing certificate. And obviously step 1 score, step 2 CK score, that's already in the system. But the OET, once you've passed the OET, you had to actively ask OET again to send your result to ECFMG. OET on their website also has this facility where you can ask them to send a test report to a certain body. So they had a drop-down menu where you could just select ECFMG. And once you fall into one of the pathways, once you fulfill the requirements, you could apply and pay the fee. The fee for pathway 1 was $900, so it was not that you had to have all your materials to apply for a pathway. You could apply for a pathway and then have all your supporting materials come in. You could have your test one of your USMLE test score come in. You could have OET come in later on. You could have your the other requirements like the good standing certificate for pathway 1 come in later. For the OET, the fee I think was 400 or something US dollars. So yeah, the total does add up to some 1,300 or 1,400, something similar to the CS. So that's why the fee was there. That's why they kept the fee, because the CS was cancelled. About the deadlines, ECFMG is now not taking any more applications for the pathway, but they're still taking the supporting documents. The deadline for OET results is somewhere in mid-February. I think the deadline for the good standing certificate and other pathway requirements was end of January. So we could actively apply for the pathway, pay the fee, and later have our materials come in. But unlike you people, we did have to pay a fee this time, yes.
Okay. And how much time is it valid? For example, me, who has given step 2 CS, my ECFMG certification is permanent. What about you?
Right, correct. Yes, so that's permanent, right? No, for this season, it was not permanent. So applicants who got their certification or who are still getting their certification, it's only for a year. So it's only valid till 2021. So and it's only valid for this year's math season. You cannot take that certificate and apply for the next 2022 season. So it was only valid for a year this time. It's temporary.
Okay, so from what you said, I understand that the requirements for this certification is the STEP scores, the medical school diploma, the OET exam, and following different pathways. And if you need a good standing certificate, get that from your council. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you for summarizing. Definitely step 1 and step 2 CK as usual. OET a replacement for step 2 CS, and medical school diploma like you required as well that way. And each pathway had a certain different requirements. I knew pathway 1 more specifically because I graduated from an Indian medical school. So we needed a good standing certificate from our licensing bodies. So, for example, I have a license from the Delhi Medical Council, so I requested them to send a good standing certificate to ECFMG. Now, all of these things cannot go from the applicant to ECFMG. Okay. They had to go from the concerning bodies. So the good standing certificate had to go from the licensing body's email ID or address to ECFMG. The OET scores had to go from OET to ECFMG. We actively cannot do that. So that was it.
All right. So tell me, how valuable is this certification? Can you work
Right. Okay.
as a physician?
So every.
Can you work as a physician after this
Sorry.
certification?
Go ahead. Okay, yeah, that's another very common question. Everyone's so confused. So this certificate is required by every foreign medical graduate if you want to apply for the match. So if somebody, if a foreign graduate wants to apply to residency programs, for example, they can go ahead and apply without the certification. But the match that occurs now in March, that's already begun with rank order lists and the whole process of the match, all of that, that cannot be applied to without the certification. So yeah, it's pretty important for any foreign graduate wanting to enter a residency training in the US. Also, it tells program directors that you are at par with the USMD, so they know that even though you graduated from medical school outside or medical school, they sort of don't know, but they now know that you are at par with them. So if you have the certificate at the time of applying to programs, it would be a great advantage to your applications. But it's not a requirement to apply. You can still go in and apply to programs. That doesn't matter. But would it fetch you interviews? Would it make your application better? I don't really think so, right? So you do need that certificate. So that's pretty valuable there. To answer your second question, if a physician can practice, that's a so the short answer is no. The certification, the only thing it does is tell people in the US that you're at par with the USMD. After the certification, you can take step 3 and all of that. So no, you cannot practice as a physician, as a doctor, a full-fledged doctor in the US after the certification. You can apply to programs, residency programs, and then maybe whatever the process is later. But we did come across something known as an assistant physician, where a foreign graduate can apply for this license, particular assistant physician, in some of the states. I don't think in all as well. That's a separate application, but a foreign graduate does require a ECFMG certification for that licensing as well. So yes.
Oh, when can we take step 3 exam? Is it required for ECFMG certification?
Right. Okay, so again, the short answer is no. It's actually the other way around. Step 3 is not required for ECFMG certification. Previously, it was step 1, step 2 CK, and step 2 CS. This time, step 1, step 2 CK, OET, and the other pathway requirements. Definitely your primary medical qualifications. It's for applying to step 3, a foreign graduate actually needs the ECFMG certification. So it's the other way around. You cannot apply to step 3 before you're ECFMG certified. So yes, that.
Oh, wow. So thank you very much, Doctor, for being with us. You answered most of the questions that our viewers might. Dr. Ishita, any last thoughts?
Thank you very much, Irene, for having me. I really had a good time. I hope all our viewers got some information. Yeah, do like and subscribe to Adwait's channel. It's very informative.
Thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions regarding the ECFMB certification or USMLE preparation in general, comment down below.